Are you putting me on trial?
Welcome back to Sit in Judgment, the Dragon Age podcast where we sit and judge.
Dragon Age, the Veilguard,
Yes.
specifically this time. Again.
Still
Still
on
judging.
that bullshit. Second disclaimer, our opinion is not the right opinion. We are not saying that anyone is more right or wrong. If you like the game, great.
Yes.
If you hate the game, I'm very sad for you. If you hate the game just because there happens to be a non-binary person in it, get a life. There's so much to be mad about.
Yeah, pick something better to be mad about,
Yeah,
honestly.
get a personality. We were going to talk about choices
Yes.
in this episode, and I've written down as many as I can remember.
Mhm. I'm very excited.
Most of them are, of course, late game, but we can start by just the mayor.
Yes, the first choice.
The first choice ever.
Yeah, I've actually learned some new information since we last talked about it.
Yeah, because I didn't want to mention, because I know that he does pop up
yes,
afterwards.
Exactly.
But
let's start out with the actual choice.
yes.
So in the beginning, as you probably all remember if you played it, in Demeter's Crossing, you find the mayor who has been corrupted by the gods and convinced because of his own greed to give up the Veil Jumpers, and then, although he didn't intend it, his entire village and everyone in it. And you can either help him and save him or leave him to his death.
Unless you play as a Grey Warden, because then you unlock the third option,
Yes.
which is send him to the Wardens. I have done that in my current playthrough.
Ooh.
I haven't gotten to Weishaupt yet.
No, okay.
So I don't know if he pops up there. We will have to see.
Yeah.
But
I know if he does or not. Do you want to know?
yeah,
He does.
he does.
Yes, he's
he
part
happy
of
to
a minor request.
Ooh.
Yes, that's all I
exciting.
know. But that's fun. I'm excited for that. My next playthrough, I think I'm going to be a warden. So
Yeah.
we shall see. But
I'm enjoying it so far. Although I will say there's a conversation with Davrin, which is again one of those things where it's like a lot of the things could have been fixed by having an origin, like a playable origin story, instead of having a weird conversation with Davrin where you kind of talk about your joining as if it was like a frat pledge.
Oh no, that's not great.
And they explain like very unnaturally what the joining is like. And yeah.
Honestly, why couldn't we have gotten playable origin stories? Because all of them that I've heard so far would make a great mini quest to start off the game with.
Yeah.
Like when you met Varric, basically.
It would have made you also feel more connected to Varric.
Yes, exactly.
And probably more like, I know that it wasn't a big emotional impact that he was dead the whole time.
You had 10 years.
You had 10 years, and the one thing that I've seen people bring up repeatedly throughout the like wants and the theorizing of what we can expect from the next Dragon Age game, the one thing I've seen so many times is we want playable origins.
Yes.
Why couldn't we have playable origins?
Yeah.
It would have been it also would have been such a, it is like Origins, because we gave you origin stories.
Yes.
It's not, but
no,
I can dream.
Honestly, I loved all the companion quests, but I would be happy to have one less for each faction, whatever, or each companion, if it meant that we could have playable origins.
Yeah.
But yeah, the mayor, I saved him in my first playthrough.
Yeah?
I did.
Where did he pop up anywhere after that?
He probably did, but I think I missed it because I was very stressed when I was infiltrating the Venatori camp. But I have heard that if you save him, he shows up at the Venatori camp.
Oh, yeah.
So it seems like he doesn't learn his or fix his ways, which makes sense. And I really appreciate that, actually.
Yeah.
So in my current playthrough, I'm doing a more ruthless character who is less idealistic and a little bit more vengeful. So she did leave him there. And
he does pop up.
Yeah.
Because I left him. I said, not my problem. And then he pops up as a generic enemy.
Yeah.
And says, like, it's your fault. And you, of course, Rook has to explain.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the mayor that I left because he corrupted the village and the gods were in his head. Oh no. Like, thanks. I was there. I remember.
I think in the Venatori camp, he said, or one of your companion goes, is that the mayor? And I mean, obviously it wasn't clear enough because I still missed it, but that was on me, I think. But no, I think that was a good,
but
I guess it's like
weird though, because then is the mayor the only Venatori without a mask?
I don't know.
Because all of other, if I remember correctly, all other Venatori have masks on, don't they?
If I will have to look up that scene and maybe get back to you at some point. But I think It's nice that it did matter, because I think we talked about it last time, or maybe it was privately, I don't remember, but we did talk about the fact that it feels like a weird first choice to make if it doesn't impact the story at all and
Yeah.
he doesn't show back up, but he does.
But yeah, that's the first choice, and it does come back in a minor way.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that he pops up at the Veilguard
Yes.
camp. That feels good.
Yeah, it feels relevant. I like that he's not
Redeemable.
yeah, exactly. I think that's great.
Mm.
I think it reminded me a little bit of in Mass Effect. Yes, I'm bringing it up again. Live with it. But there's a minor NPC who you can let escape from like a bad guy's base.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I swear I didn't know what they were doing here. This is just my job. And you can be like, okay, leave. And then in the next game, you can find her working at a different like bad guy's base. And she's like, oh, not you again. And you can either, I think you can kill her, or you can be like, better start running. And
That's
she
funny.
runs off. But I think that's funny.
That's funny.
Like some people just don't change their ways. And I think that's good. And as we've discussed before, sometimes it feels like everyone is so good in this game. So
Yeah.
it's nice to have someone who's just a little shit.
It's either they're so good or they're
cartoonishly
evil.
The mayor, that was the first choice.
Yeah. And I think the other choices that I could remember was just companion related.
Mm-hmm.
So with Tosh, for example,
Yes.
did you encourage them to embrace their Qunari heritage, or did you encourage them to be more Ravani?
I encouraged them to be more Ravani.
Yeah, because last time I encouraged someone to be Qunari, I got in the worst way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. The Qun isn't really that nice to most people. Like, if you just want to be told what to do and what to be your entire life, go for it. But I also feel like Tosh's whole thing is not wanting to be told who to be or what to do. So I feel like encouraging Tosh to embrace your Qunari heritage is kind of a weird choice. I do want to try it, but it also feels like the game thinks that the correct choice is to have them embrace being Ravani. Or did you feel that way?
I don't know. I felt like it was weirdly unbalanced. Because it's like, why is there no third option of just saying you are both Qunari and Ravani? Find balance.
That's actually such a good point.
I feel like it's disrespectful when they then have like the dinner with the mother.
Yeah.
She comments on the food not being good, and Tosh specifically goes, "It's Ravani. We're in Ravane, aren't we?" Because it felt sad, like after the mom died. Then that I had encouraged them to kind of forsake their heritage, but I don't know. It was a weird one.
It was weird, but it also, because I have friends who have one parent who's Swedish and from Sweden, and one parent who has heritage from somewhere else. And one conversation that I've had with that friend is about the concept of being half something, like you're half Swedish and half something else. No, you're both. It's not like two halves. It's just like you are you, and you have both cultures with you. It's not like the half thing. Not being fully Swedish and not being fully the other thing, rather than it being a mix of two complete things.
Yeah.
And I think, as you say, I hadn't considered it before, but now that you mention it, I agree that there should have been a third option like that.
Yeah. And I think, especially if you play as a Qunari rook, there should be a third option of, well, what am I? Like, we all make our own little thing, don't we? And like, I don't know,
that wouldn't work so well with Tosh's whole thing. Also, just being like, you're not Ravani or Qunari, you're Tosh.
Not a woman, you're not a man, you're Tosh. Like,
that's such a good point.
Yeah, that is pretty much how I would phrase it.
Yeah,
but I'm interested to see if like a Qunari rook has different dialogue options there.
That's a good question. Do you know? Have you played a Qunari rook? Have you talked to Tosh about this? What did they say? What did you say? Comment.
But yeah, no, I encouraged the Ravani. And felt kind of bad about it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna, just because the second playthrough, I'm trying to just make a lot of opposite decisions to what I made last time. So I think I am going to encourage Tosh to embrace their Qunari heritage. It'll be interesting how that affects the relationship with their mom as well, I think, and how they deal with her death. The
next one is Harding's Quest. If you encourage her to let go of the rage, or embrace the Titan rage.
Yeah. As a people pleaser who has been going to therapy, I had her choose to embrace the anger and the rage, and to accept the feeling and deal with it that way.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably the healthier thing to do. But I am interested because it was also phrased as letting go of that rage through compassion. And I want to see how they deal with that if you choose that.
I feel like there wasn't really a consequence in that choice.
No.
Because I fully expected that, okay, I chose Davrin and he died. And in my mind, I went, because I told Harding to embrace the Titan rage. And this is literally like an Ebenurus who was part of bringing the Titans like down.
Yes.
When you are having the fight with Gillenane, she could probably survive.
She cannot.
Yeah, I figured that afterwards. But in my head, it was like, oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
That like if you choose Harding and she's embraced the Titan rage, she just like earth bends the shit out of Gillenane.
Oh, that would have been so
That would have been good.
Why couldn't we have that?
Right.
But no. But yeah, I did encourage her to be angry.
Yeah.
But
I can't say I feel like she was.
No, exactly. It felt like she let go through compassion in a lot of ways anyway.
Yeah, because she doesn't really give Solus any clap back for it either. Even if she's like, you apologize to the Titans? He's like, yeah. Like, okay. Harding, no. Come on.
Be mad.
Be mad. That's okay.
But I have to say that it felt kind of good to play through that part and be like, be mad. It was nice to tell her to be angry and
it
encourage
felt
it.
like cathartic.
Yes, exactly. Like it's righteous.
Yeah.
You can be angry. It's reasonable to be angry about this.
Exactly.
And I'm
not let it consume you.
Yes, it also feels very nice that a lot of the things that we talked about wanting in regards to and our theories about Harding and magic and feeling like she was robbed, the dwarves were robbed of something. Boy, were we right on the money with that.
Right on the money.
Yes.
I wish there would have been a bigger consequence, but that's fine. At least it was addressed.
Exactly, and that's something at least. Do you think that you're going to try encouraging her to be compassionate and let go of the anger, or no?
I mean, I might as well.
Yeah.
I genuinely have a hard time seeing it playing out differently.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty much the same thing, but I'm curious because
do they get like other abilities as a hero of the Veilguard if you encourage them to do different things?
I don't know, because I did get Hero of the Veilguard status on all of them.
Yeah, I think you can do
the powers
that,
are
but
different.
the powers are different. Because the prompt you get is like, because Harding embraced the Titan's rage, she can now XYZ. Or
that could be the case.
So
maybe her healing gets better.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, or something. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I will.
But I also barely noticed after they became heroes of the Veilguard. I didn't really see a difference in gameplay, but I'm also stupid, so that could be it.
I really didn't pay a lot of attention to the companions fighting and gameplay and their abilities and stuff. Was there an auto level up feature where you could just automatically assign skills for the companions? Because the previous games have had that, and I always use it because I'm lazy.
I couldn't find an auto level up, and I found that really annoying. I'm not a strategic player.
No.
I don't know what's best. I don't want to have to sit through and because I get FOMO.
Yeah, exactly. And I like playing games on easy. I played I played on the
Keeper.
Next easiest. Yeah, exactly. The Keeper difficulty level, and I found that great. And then whenever I had to fight the dragon, I just lowered it to the basic one, the easiest Storyteller or whatever. Yeah. But no, I just like when it's easy, and I don't want to have to think about being strategic with my companions and their skills, because I'm worried also that if I don't choose the right skills, they're not going to be balanced as a party. Yeah. But in the end, I'm just assigning stuff randomly.
But speaking of that, as like a party, balanced party, yes. I feel like I don't really mind not having to control my party members. Yeah. I will say though that I feel like getting rid of one party member and being a party of 3 makes me feel like I'm third wheeling.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because then it's my 2 companions having some bants and like hanging out at the coffee cooler, and I'm just the boss, not really engaging. Whilst if you're 3 companions, even though I'm not engaging in the actual banter, we're at least 4 people. So there's more of a we're all here together, group wise.
And there's also usually the banter is just between 2 companions. So there's one more person who's being quiet along with you. And then you can imagine that you're like exchanging looks like,
I think that's something that bothered me a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially when Neve and Lucana started flirting, and I was just like, well, I'm gonna have to leave Neve all the time now.
Yeah.
And I'm always gonna bring Lucanas because I don't want to leave them alone
But
at
here's
the
the
lighthouse,
thing.
because what happens when I'm not there?
This is something that I realized because you flirted with Davrin and you got the heart, right? Apparently, the flirting between companions, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but from what I've seen, this seems to be the case. It doesn't start until you have started flirting with someone. And then there's no flirting with that character. And because Lucanus's flirting lock-in is so late, the flirting has already started. But I didn't get the Neve and Lucanus flirting at all, basically, because I never flirted with anyone other than Lucanus. So no one in my party or in my group started flirting with each other until I had gotten the flirt lock-in.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, because yes, I have seen Lucanus and Neve having conversations and they seem kind of like close, but I never got the like super flirty thing. And then I realized it's because I never even tried flirting with someone else. But if you do that, then everyone else is going to start flirting.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense.
Right?
It still pisses me off.
Yeah.
And now
it's still stupid.
in my new run where I'm trying to only romance Davrin. I'm trying to keep my eye on the prize, just this is what I do, but then I just see my boyfriend.
It's honestly incredible. Despite the lack of actual romance and interactions and his constant flirting for you with Neve, the grip this man, Lucana, still has on us.
Yep. Like, yeah, his writing is a bit lackluster and there's a lot missing, but god damn it, when it matters, he's so sweet.
Yeah.
And I know that the romance dialogue is basically kind of the same with everyone, but just that moment with him and Brooke and how he like falls asleep with you, even though he's been trying to not sleep for ages. It's really nice. She did do it though. I said in the second episode, I said, my Rook is gonna throw out the cringy, like thirsty line of "I know what can keep you up," and she kind of does.
She kind of does. What would we do?
All night if we can't sleep? I also kind of wish that there would be more of an emotional reaction. Like, yes, he is tender and sweet, and like, I thought I lost you, whatever. In Belara's romance scene, it's kind of revealed, because I can't remember that they alluded to that. It's revealed that Rook was gone for weeks.
Oh,
Rook wasn't gone for like an hour. Rook was gone for weeks.
Oh, I thought it was maybe like 2 days.
No. She was gone, if not for weeks, it was 1 week.
Yeah, that's like longer than I expected.
Expected probably dead.
Yeah.
So I would have liked a more like falling on your knees, holy shit, you're alive. I was ready to go off myself.
Yeah.
In like a last battle. Because the context of I've been gone for a week and you're just kind of sitting there holding your knee, like your hand on my knee, saying I'll meet you in your room, and not just having a... Do I matter?
Who knows? Honestly, it's a mystery. I agree. Then that's really weird. I would have liked more of a reaction. And again, with Lucana specifically, I would have wanted a proper discussion with him, if you romance him, about spite. It's so awkward. And I'm so confused when Rook is like, oh, Spite and I can play cards or something if you... But like, how does that work when they have sex or when whatever? Is Spite just experiencing that as well? Because that's something they should talk about. And if not, how does that work?
Yeah.
Like, because apparently I saw a bit of party banter if Lucanus and Neve end up being together. I think, is it Tosh? Someone asks Lucanus how it works with Spite and the thing. And Lucana says that I just have Spite go play with the wisps. Or no, I think it's Spite that says, like, when her hat comes off, I have to go play with the wisps. Which, first of all, that's...
Like, what do you mean? Can you leave?
Yeah, like, what do you mean? Can you leave? How does that work?
I thought it was like you were stuck in there.
Yeah. Is he not stuck in there?
You get unpossessed for nutting and then just repossessed again?
Yeah. But then Spite won't have a body. So he doesn't turn off or like go away, but he literally leaves to go play with the wisps, or like just go.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like they thought that through. They were like, "Yikes! This could be a dicey situation where people claim that it's unconsensual, blah blah blah. So we're just gonna throw a line in there that he's not there. It was like, but
also
logistically, how does that work?
Also wild that you get to know that if he romances Neve, but
someone
not
else, but not if you romance him.
Yeah, like it should have been the opposite, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I would have liked to know that.
Yeah, no, that it's bullshit. I do really like when you save him from his mental prison that you get to work with Spite.
Yes.
I like that
Yeah.
I would have want to see an established relationship. First of all, more established with Lucanus, but I would have liked to see more an established relationship between Rook and Spite.
Yes.
Because they both care for Lucanus. It's very obvious in the mental prison that Spite he really cares and wants to protect Lucanus in his own way. And I really enjoyed that. I also really enjoy that he gets so hyped when you're like, you can beat the shit out of your cousin. It's like, Rook is my favorite.
It's so cute. Like Spite's and Rook's kind of like friendship.
It's kind of like a stepson that's just unhinged.
It's very cute. But I saw a piece of banter if you have Lucanus with you when you're running around with Solus. Solus refers to Spite first as a spirit of determination.
Ooh.
And then it's like, oh no, Spite. So that is the kind of spirit that Spite was before, which makes sense with Lucanus and his determination to survive being in that prison.
Yeah.
And the entire thing in his life. And so that makes a lot of sense. And again, why is that piece of information hidden in a banter line that you only get during very specific circumstances? Like there is so much extra information and context, but you have to get it through,
jump through so many hoops and so many special circumstances.
Yeah, and you can't possibly get it through one playthrough. And I of course I love the fact that you get new information in different playthroughs and that not everyone's experience is the same, but there are some pieces of basic information and context that I think everyone should get.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also not everyone has the time and patience to do multiple playthroughs.
No, exactly. Most people probably aren't going to play it 5-10 times.
Yeah, exactly.
I will, because I don't have a life outside of Dragon Age.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, but in a way, I don't.
Want to talk about that? Therapy session is open. No, but I agree. It's kind of like there are better ways to encourage replays and to create replay value. And one of those things would be playable origin stories.
Yes. Because then this also has the effect of us sitting here and talking in previous episodes about I can't believe there's no information about this. And then it's like, oh, there is, but you just have to find the specific line of banter to find that out. And if it wasn't for social media, I would have no idea.
Same. Oh, I wish there was more context to this romance. It is, but not if you romance them.
No, exactly.
Huh?
It's odd.
Speaking of, have you seen Tasha's romance scenes?
I haven't. Oh wait, I actually I've seen one, but it was someone playing an on purpose very ugly dwarf, and it looked very weird. So I'm not even gonna remember that.
It's very cringe.
Oh no! Tell me.
They literally growl.
No.
In Rook's ear.
No.
It's so cringy.
Don't tell me this.
And it's also because they do the whole thing of Tosh being very dominant and pinning them against the wall. And I'm like, you've already done this with the Iron Bull.
Yeah, exactly.
Can a Kunari not be soft and gentle and
Also, I think it makes more sense for Tasha's character to have them be gentle and feel
maybe a little bit foreign to the idea of gentleness and care.
Yeah, because the thing with Tosh hasn't really seemingly hasn't experienced a lot of sweetness in their life.
Because you can literally tell them as a and I don't like that that's only a flirting option, because you can tell them you deserve kindness. And I'm like, I don't want to flirt with them. I just want them to know that they deserve kindness.
Yes, and if
they could have it's right there.
Yeah.
You wrote the line yourself that you as Rook romancing Tosh can show them kindness.
Yeah.
But you did the sort of dominating role that Iron Bull had.
Yeah.
In a lesser extent.
Yeah. And I feel also with the Iron Bull, it was different in the way that yes, that was something that he was into, but it was also something that he saw that the Inquisitor might need.
Exactly.
To not be in charge for a while and to have someone else deciding what to do, etc.
Yeah.
And I thought that like when you get that explanation from Bo, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, because
It's made
it is a tender way of
yeah.
showing care.
Yes. And again, caring about the Inquisitor as a person,
yeah,
as an individual.
just the exposition of I have been observing you in your role and your emotions, and this is me responding to that. With Rook, it's just, oh, here's my issue. Don't care about you though. But I think that's why I like Viago so much, because Viago gives more context to a Rook.
Who's from the Crows?
Yeah.
I want to try all the factions and all the romances. Maybe not Tosh's romance, but again, nothing to do with Tosh being non-binary. A lot to do with the fact that Tosh feels like a child.
Yeah.
And I am in my 30s. So
I saw someone online, and this is not a like negative thing. If don't send me to the shadow realm. But I saw someone say Tosh isn't minor coded, they are just a normal 20-year-old. And I'm like, you must be 20 if you say that, because 20 is, I get you're legally not a minor, but your frontal lobe is not developed.
No.
So you said it yourself, they are just a 20-year-old.
Yep.
And I am not.
Someone said that Tosh was in their early 20s.
Yeah.
There was information like that somewhere, and I feel like that's like I believe that, but I also feel like still it's Tosh is kind of
but just replaying it and seeing the scene again, because so many hours in I forget it when we recorded last, but seeing the scene where you recruit Tosh and it's literally their mother recruiting them for you, and Tosh going like, it is what I want, but I would want. It's so like you are as a child. There's only one thing worse than a non-binary, a child. Next one is Emmerich. Lich or not lich?
I went with no lich.
No lich.
For several reasons. I think the first one isn't really specific to Dragon Age, but in like the concept of a lich, like I play some Dungeons and Dragons, and a lich is not a good thing to be.
No, like Vlaakith is a lich queen.
Yes. It's basically an evil, undead, immortal spirit being thing. And so that's one thing where I'm like, I feel like you would no longer be Emmerich.
Yeah, and again, it's the whole thing of Dragon Age having such a different take to necromancers, and it's really interesting. But maybe change the language?
Yeah, use a different word maybe, because you also have different lore surrounding spirits and gods and stuff like that. So I think different wording would have helped, because I couldn't shake my perception of what a lich is. And I think because this is the first time we have heard about liches in Dragon Age, isn't it?
Never heard of it before.
So there's also no real, and we don't get to interact with the other liches. So I feel like there's too much of an unknown factor to it. And it also makes me feel like, okay, so would Emmerich never get to be his own person again? Like, it's not even about choosing whether or not Manfred lives. It's about Emmerich and being a lich, and what would that mean? And I feel like it's also a weird like solution to his fear of death.
This is the thing. Like, I chose no lich because the motivations are all wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
It's you running from a fear, and I don't know how to phrase it, but by becoming immortal, death really has no meaning. And so if death has no meaning, life has no meaning. So the whole thing that you've dedicated your life to loses all like sensibility. And how are you, like, it just didn't seem right.
And I feel like they're phrasing it in a way where it seems like Emmerich thinks he's overcoming his fear of death by risking death to become a lich. But that's not how I see it. I still see becoming a lich as a way for him to escape his fear of dying. Because if he becomes a lich, he's never dying. And I don't know what that would mean. Like,
because I've seen, can I spoil? No, because you want to do an Emmerich romance.
But you can still spoil it. That's fine.
Because in romance with a lich Emmerich, the fear of dying is directly transferred to Rook. So as soon as he becomes a lich, and the whole thing is that he has to sacrifice Manfred, because if he's a lich, he's going to live forever. He needs to deal with grief. Immediately, I think it's when you're brought back from the Fade, when he has assumed that you're dead, immediately he is willing to bend the rules to make sure that Rook is immortal. So the fear is not gone. And I like that type of storytelling. And Rook, you can choose to say, like, don't put that on me. Like
Yeah.
your fear is not my fear.
Mhm.
You need to just like
Mhm.
deal. And he kind of dismisses it and kind of
Yeah.
like goes, I would do anything to make sure
Yeah.
I never had to deal with you being away again.
Then he shouldn't. He also doesn't sound like he should have passed the mental test to become a lich, because that's you're supposed to let go of everything and not care about death.
Yeah. I enjoyed the theme as well, as in a symbolic way,
Yeah.
where Emmerich has to come to terms with he will die,
Yeah.
and Manfred gets to live.
Mhm.
In kind of a weird seeing your own mortality in your children.
Yes.
When you have kids, I don't have kids, but even
Neither do I.
when like my sister had kids, and it makes you see your own mortality different, and I feel like that was a very nice portrayal of that feeling of
Yeah.
I am going to pass, but you get a chance to live and be my legacy, and then
Yes.
like that is beautiful.
I will say I really enjoyed the entire Lich storyline, and Emmerich's character and his decisions and his fears. I would have loved to be able to be a little bit more critical of the concept of becoming a Lich for him specifically, because I feel like you can't really challenge him on it.
No, I wanted to be able to say like you're just running from a fear.
Yeah, exactly. Like
it's the wrong motivation.
Mhm.
It's not going to solve anything, but it's kind of just like,
yeah.
I want to see Manfred.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not about Manfred. I love Manfred.
Yeah,
He is so cute.
he's very sweet, and I love Manfred in that quest where he
Yes.
does sacrifice himself.
Yeah.
I love that they show such a beautiful way of
Mhm.
him being his own person.
And like when
I hope-
Emmerich says that he disobeyed me beautifully,
Yeah.
that was so sweet.
Also, very parent-child. Like they
Yes.
really did that very nicely.
Yeah.
I love Emmerich. I think
Mhm.
Emmerich is my favorite.
Yeah.
I romance Lucanus and I like him.
Mhm.
Emmerich is my favorite companion.
Yeah.
By far.
I didn't expect him to be my favorite, but
I feel like he was the most well-rounded.
Yeah, I think so. And this time I'm romancing Davrin, but next time I'm definitely going for Emmerich.
Yeah, this really sad banter. If you encourage him to become a lich,
Mhm.
you have the chance to get banter with Davrin, where he says that he hears Emmerich crying over Manfred during the night. It's so terrible.
Terrible. Okay, so this is one situation where I feel like there's a right choice and a wrong choice.
Yeah, but I feel like this is the equivalent of keeping Cole as a spirit and keeping Cole as or encouraging him to be more human, where it's like it's not wrong
No.
for him to be a spirit. That's not the wrong answer,
Mhm.
but it just seems
Yeah.
like the least good.
Yeah, I feel like conceptually I most often choose to make Cole more human, but then most recently I made him more like a spirit again, because I feel like that's what he was, and he seems to not mind being that. And I don't want to make him into something just because I am that and I want him to be more like me.
Yeah.
So I let him become a spirit again, or more like a spirit. But it just feels sad afterwards.
It feels like there's no growth.
No, exactly.
And
it feels dissatisfying.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like Cole is happier. It kind of feels like he disappears as a person. And so I don't think I'll be making that decision again.
No.
Like spirits,
but it's
should
also
be spirits,
very interesting. I'm sorry for interrupting
No,
you.
go.
Very interesting now that we have the context of Solus.
Yeah.
Why he is so against Cole becoming more human.
Yeah, because that was sort of the catalyst for him.
Exactly. And I really liked how that put that choice in perspective.
Yes.
Not that the choice mattered in this game, but it was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice context.
It was like a lot of things about Cole feel like they make more sense now. Actually,
I mean, a lot of the things that Cole says was basically like foreplay for this game.
Foreplay.
It's foreplay. I don't know the word foreshadowing. It's foreplay. Oh, maybe you want to engage in some foreshadowing.
Yeah. Foreshadowing is just as important as the main game.
Exactly. It's true, though.
It is true.
Fuck, we were talking about Emmerich. If he becomes a lich, there's also, again, I haven't played it, but I've seen the scene. There's no tension about it. You'd think that he would come back and there would be a big huff-uff about, like, ooh, creepy,
Yeah.
ooh, weird.
But
Why
so
would
he-
you do that? Or like, I'm mad at you because you did this for the wrong
Wait, I
reasons.
feel like I didn't get this quick enough. But so he actually becomes a lich in the game, and by the end of,
Yeah.
I somehow assumed that it would be that you encourage him to do it, and he will do it after the gods are defeated.
No.
But he actually does that in the middle of
he
the
does
fight.
it. I think he does it the moment you sacrifice Manfred. I think that is the moment he becomes a
wow.
lich. And then he's a lich for the rest of it. And he's basically, his new form is a skeleton, but he can put on like the glamour thing where he looks like his old self.
Huh.
So he shows up at the lighthouse full lich,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not a huge debate about it. I think there's some like, ooh, and then immediately everyone's like, well, you're still you.
That's interesting.
Especially when Tosh has made such a fuss about, also, can we talk about how the hypocrisy
Mm-hmm.
of you are coming to terms with being non-binary,
Yeah.
you want people to use different pronouns because that makes you feel good, you refuse to call someone by their name even though they
Yes.
tell you straight up, can you please call me by my name?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but out of all the characters that you
Mhm.
could have chosen to have that conversation with Emmerich,
It's a weird
you chose
choice.
the one person that is going through a gender like identity change.
I would say it doesn't feel
poorly handled.
Yeah, it doesn't feel realistic for one.
Yeah.
And it also makes paints Tosh in such an unflattering light.
Yeah. And I get that people can be hypocrites and that's part of their character, but I feel like if you're trying to tell the story in a sensitive way, which I feel like they've said that they're trying to do, you did a shit job now.
I like it when companions are not inherently likable and good and have some issues and be problematic. I love that. But here's the thing. If they wanted to normalize different gender identities, like being non-binary, if that's something that BioWare cares about, which they obviously seem to do, why did they make the only unlikable character be the non-binary character? And I get that not everyone thinks that Tosh is unlikable, but a lot of people think so.
Yeah, I think the majority that I've seen.
Like, why did you have to go and make, because
and it
I
has
feel
nothing
like
to do with them being non-binary.
No,
it has to do with their personality that is also contradicting their gendered identity story.
Exactly. But then it's like, of course, people who are like bigoted are gonna jump on this opportunity to argue that it has to do with Tosh's gender identity. Like, Mayveris is trans, apparently. Couldn't they just I don't know, or make someone else who's more likable be the non-binary character or trans? Or it's just like an odd choice, I think.
Yeah, it's very poorly handled.
Yeah, I didn't BioWare consider the fact that a lot of people are idiots?
They 100% knew that it was going to be a huge talking point, and a huge controversy amongst a lot of players and people in the gaming sphere, I guess, because during the preview events in the NDA and in the contracts, people were told that they could not talk about Tosh.
Yeah.
They deliberately withheld information about Tosh and their character because they knew that it was going to be a big discussion. So why didn't you handle it better?
It just feels a little bit careless, and I get that that's probably the opposite of what they were trying to achieve, but that doesn't change reality.
Yeah, a huge tangent. No lich. Oh, Mythal, which is also completely optional. You can go through the entire game and not have Mythal, and it changed at the last the outcome,
I think
kind of ish. But did you fight her or did you convince her to help you?
I convinced Mythal to help me. There were two aspects to it. The first is that I feel uncomfortable using her like that after everything she's been through. I wanted it to be her choice. And the second part is that I could not bear the thought of fighting another dragon. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is.
Honestly, same here. Because I was like, it would be... I made it work because I was like, oh, but my work is going to be sly about it. And be like, I tricked a literal god to helping me. But it would have been in line with her character to be like, you're annoying as hell. Just, if I can stab you and be done with it, that's great. But then I started fighting the dragon and I was like, I don't want to do this.
Because the first time I tried to convince her...
Because it also means I have to fight another dragon 10 times harder.
No, I just can't. But the first time I tried to convince her, I got halfway and then I failed at one of the dialogue options. And so I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll fight her. And then I saw her turn into a dragon and I saw the level indicator.
Yeah.
And I just went, and so I just reloaded. And I did want to figure out the right choices for the dialogue myself.
Yeah.
So I did do that. And it felt satisfying. And then I did, tying into this, I guess, the final decision with Solus. I chose to convince him. And part of it is that I just like talking my way out of things in games.
Yeah.
And convincing people. I think it's my old Peregrine Shepherd roots showing. But also, I just wouldn't trust him not to try to mess stuff up again and not be able to like get loose or find a way
and
out of
Mythal
it.
is really just like a crucifix.
Yeah.
Where it's like
Exactly.
the power compels you.
Yes.
But did you have a Romance Inquisitor?
I did not. But this time I'm doing a romance one.
Yeah. Also, the default Inquisitor
Yes.
is a Romance Lavellen.
That's
And
interesting.
I feel like BioWare can now not beat the favoritism allegations.
No.
Because that is such a huge difference between, like, if you have a romance, like an Inquisitor that romance Dorian, they literally refer to each other as friends.
That's not
apart
great.
from like one time in the last fight in the tower, where and then they throw out Enemontos. I think history would say they're friends.
Yeah, just two close friends.
And those are the only two romance options that you get to see. Everyone
you
else,
just
you
get
get
the
a letter.
Yeah. But I feel like, honestly, I don't begrudge the solo Velen girlies this, because there's not a lot of romance content in Inquisition for soulless romancers. So I'm like,
I mean,
honestly, I felt really satisfied with the Cullen romance in Inquisition. In Trespasser, I could marry him. It was really sweet.
Yeah.
Like, you can
that's
have
true.
this.
I get it. Like, I'm not mad at the solo Vellens. I'm
No,
happy
no,
for you.
no.
I'm genuinely, that's dope. And it was so
Congratulations.
interesting to see, because I played it with a romance Lavellen, and that whole, like, I thought it was a beautiful scene of him being like, oh, but I've tricked you, and just her going, I forgive you. Because he literally punishes himself for nothing. His whole motivation is because he punishes himself. So having someone go like, nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so like, what do you respond to that?
Like, your self-torture is literally just making everything worse.
Yeah, it's like, your motivation is because you wronged someone. That person is telling you it's fine.
Yeah.
So your whole motivation is now null.
Yeah.
But I convinced him as well, and I let the Lavellen go with him.
Yeah, that's nice.
And I thought that was cute and sweet. Yeah. But I like that one of the outcomes is that Solus can get trapped with Rook. That's
funny. But that's like the bad ending, right?
Yeah. I think so. But that is hilarious. Is it Aladdin where Jafar gets trapped with Iago?
Oh, I think
and
so.
And they it's kind of giving that.
Exactly. Like, honestly, that's a fate that I would happily bestow upon Solus. Not so much Rook, but Solus can live with that.
I think the worst outcome is Rook getting trapped by themselves.
Oh.
But that also makes me go, do we kill Solus then? I haven't looked into it, but I think
does Solus trick Rook somehow?
And then what does he do?
Yeah, exactly. And then what?
And then what?
Okay, so you managed to trap me in the fade and tie me to the veil.
No, don't trap me. That's so sexy.
Okay, so you have tied my life to the veil, and then what?
Edging. But yeah, no, I convinced Mythal.
Yeah.
Did I think that the reveal was kind of underwhelming? Do I think that they should have spent more time on, like, how Mythal looks? Yeah.
Yeah.
I do, genuinely. It's kind of like, I've seen people talk about it like Mistra. But Mistra is literally just a girl.
She is.
In like the least cringy, attempting to sound like Gen Z. She's the whole role of Mistra is that they are a normal person who then gets to take on the role as Mistra. So it makes sense that they look kind of underwhelming.
Yes.
But Mythal
is Mythal.
When, like, if you look at Algernon, I don't think his design is great, but it's grand.
Yeah.
He's clearly like different and like imposing. And then Mythal is just made in CC.
Yeah.
Like, I can make a character that looks like Mythal.
Yeah, exactly. It would be kind of funny to make your Rook look like Mythal, just to torture Solus.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
Also, there's so much tension between Solus and Rook.
Yeah.
Especially in that like those last moments. Yes. There's more tension between them than there ever was between Lavellen and Solus.
Oh, for sure.
I can't wait to find really good fan fiction about Rook and Solus.
There's going to be so much fun fan fiction coming out of this game. I think that's one side effect, the lack of like solid romance this is going to have.
Oh yeah, I can hear the tapping. Next one is also underwhelming because I didn't pay enough attention and I wasn't invested.
Okay.
And it's the Neve.
Oh,
Did you collaborate with the threads or not?
I did.
But
I think it's with Neve, apparently, because it does say, because you didn't save Minrathous, Neve doesn't have an option but to work with the threads. So I read that as if you save Minrathous and not Treviso, you will have a different option. So I think you get that, like, that decision is made for you if you don't save Minrathous from the dragon. It still feels...
No, but I think you can deny working with the threads.
Oh yeah, you can deny it.
And then she's just bitter because now no one is protecting Dogtown.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that if you do save Minrathous, her friend Rana, there's a different group that can protect, so you don't have to work with like the shady people.
Okay.
But again, the threads in the playthrough I had didn't seem that bad.
That's the
again,
thing.
Everyone is just sort
everyone
of good.
is really good.
Yeah.
And it's like little Robin Hood people.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, I would hate to work with them.
It's like they literally, and I thought that I was gonna get some sort of bad consequence for accepting their deal.
Yeah.
Initially. But no, it's just good. And they're just like, because you took their deal, they like you. Great. Did that have any negative effects? Not that I could tell.
No.
But again, maybe it's different if you save
I did
Minrathous.
go into the last battle with only 2 stars with Shadow Dragons. I didn't have a different outcome.
I went in with just 1 and their leader did die.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like no.
How did you just have 1?
I don't know. I tried to do all the side quests, but maybe I didn't sell them enough stuff. Or maybe
you can't sell them stuff because like
no, but before you can. Before you like the dragon attack happens, you can sell
but that's
them.
so early in the game.
Yeah.
I barely gotten enough loot to sell.
I did all this quest, but I think I was literally like a few points from getting 2 stars. Like the bar was even blocking the 2-star thing because I was so on the limit and I just couldn't find anything else to do.
No.
So I don't know if
because that's why I stuck at 2, because I was like, I've done literally everything that I can. I had the same trouble with the veil jumpers, I think. No, it was the Mornwatch. Where I really struggled to get those 3 stars because I was like, okay, I've done every quest that I can that is tied to the Mornwatch. What else can I do?
Yeah.
Like, I can sell stuff, but that would take so long.
The Lich Dragon or whatever it was.
Yeah, I got that one too.
Yeah.
And I was still at 2.
Huh. That's weird because I didn't have a hard time reaching 3 stars with them.
Strange.
It is strange. Maybe I sold more stuff or bought stuff. Is shop upgrading something that gives points?
I think shop upgrading, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, but I think like the first time I played, I had a pending side quest with Neve for the Shadow Dragons, and then I went to recruit Davrin. So I think if I had done that in a different order, I probably would have been at 2 stars at least. But I've heard that you don't need 3 stars on everything, you just need at least 2.
Yeah.
And the consequences mostly seem to be, at least if everyone's a hero of the Veilguard and you make otherwise good decisions.
Okay.
You just need 2. But the consequence just seems to be like their faction leader dies. And because I barely even noticed. Does
that mean that Antoine and Efke?
I hope
one
not.
Of them can die? I would riot in the streets. I mean, I would love if they did that.
Yeah, but I also I love them.
I love them. Your honor.
Don't make me. Yeah, but no, everyone else was at 3, and then it was just the Shadow Dragons that were at 1.
Yeah, no, everyone was at 3, but Shadow Dragons I had 2, and everyone was fine. Yeah. But I also sent Neve into the Shadow Realm, and she came back blighted.
Yeah, and I did that with Belara. And she came back blighted. Yeah. But because apparently if you don't convince Solus, I think if you trick him or if you convince him to tie himself to fate, he vows to help with the blight, right? And
then, he says, I can't stop it, but I'll make it go back to normal, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And so then she's no longer blighted.
This is what I struggled with this because, he does the same for me and Neve is no longer blighted.
No.
And I'm like, I'm sorry. How can you unblight someone?
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you do that for
everyone? Yeah, I mean,
I don't think that's but Solas, you're so funny. I think that's a writing error.
Yeah, I think
like,
it is.
At least give me the consequence of we saved the day. Neve is still gonna die of blight, or like now Neve has to join the Grey Wardens,
Yes.
and then that's her ending. That would have been so sick, but no, she's unblighted. I'm like, can you unblight my fucking warden?
But
she's dying.
If you fight Solas, he doesn't do that, and then that companion stays blighted. I think that's at least something, because I will admit I was pretty surprised by the sudden non-blighted companion. But I'm gonna pick Neve to go do the blight thing this time, because I like it more thematically, that she is protecting her city.
Yeah.
Through using the blight.
Yeah, but I also, like in the back of my head, I was like, I'm sure they want me to use Valara because it's about like disabling an ancient artifact.
Exactly.
I'm sure she'll be fine, but I don't trust it now, so I'm going to send Neve because I prefer Valara. You don't see her die, so I was like, she is gonna come back. Davrin was pierced multiple times. Like, that man is R.I.P. Speaking of Davrin,
yes,
the Griffins.
I gave them to Arlathan.
Yeah, I figured you would.
Yeah.
And me, I'm going to go back to the Wardens, my guys.
Why did you, describe your thoughts about this?
Literally, I thought of the ecosystem.
I love it.
It was
incredible.
Like, you have no idea how a Griffin, they've been extinct. And before they were extinct, they were chilling with the Wardens.
Yeah.
You have no idea the impact that these animals would have on the local wildlife and nature. We cannot send them in. Your Honor, take them away. That was literally how my brain worked.
That's so funny. I love it. I'm a huge fan of that.
Thank you. But please think of the ecosystem. Think of the nugs.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, that's how I was thinking.
Incredible.
Thank you.
My main reasons, I had two main reasons. The first one is that at this point, I love the Wardens, and I think that most of them are wonderful and heroic, etc. I don't trust them as an organization.
Fair.
They make, as an organization...
They've made a lot of oopsies.
Yeah, and the fact that they're so obedient to management, I was going to say, to the organization leaders, like the first warden, and the fact that they don't seem to pick maybe the best leaders, it makes me I don't trust that they're going to be able to take care of the Griffins well long term.
Yeah.
Because it's just too much stuff that's happened. And then I also thought that it seemed like a nicer life for the Griffins to be in the woods and to have more of a chill life and not be trained to be warriors.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's also you got a trial run with the Griffins and you
blew it.
You fucked up.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a higher chance of them living and thriving and then actually recovering as a species if they're just free in a forest.
Yes, but I did also consider that Asan and the Griffins, they seem to really like the warden lifestyle.
Yeah.
And having that bond with a human or an elf or whatever. And I think that they seem to really like that aspect in the fighting. So I don't think that and this is one circumstance where I feel like there's not really a wrong decision in the same way. But now that you've made your point about the ecosystem, that's such a good point. Now I'm concerned.
Yeah.
They've got it because you never see them eating meat in the game. It's just the gingerboard truffles. But come on, they're
half lion, half eagle.
They're
both of which are predators.
They're obviously predators.
Yeah, because he also makes Davrin says oh, I hope he doesn't think it's venison on the menu when they help the sick Hala, and I'm like, good, so he does eat meat.
Exactly, and I'm a vegetarian, but I would never try to make a cat or a dog eat vegetarian or vegan food.
Actually, cats are obligate carnivores, so they cannot absorb nutrients from
exactly plants. It's a cruel thing to do.
Yep.
So I also wouldn't want the Griffins to have to live on a herbivore diet because I don't think they're made for it.
No, but I also was thinking in a way that you say oh, they seem to really like being with the Wardens. I was thinking of it in a Belgian Malinois dog kind of way, where it's if you're understimulated and don't have any training, you're gonna be destructive.
Yeah.
And they seem to be very intelligent and kind of need that obedience.
Yeah, but I think that's where with the option with Arlathan, I feel they would be working almost border collies rather,
Mm-hmm.
kind of be more like herding dogs and still have to be working and be trained by people, but they would just have a different job, like the protecting versus attacking thing. So I think for me that sort of satisfies that part. But unclear. But it's an interesting decision to have to make.
But after you give them to the wardens, you can then go visit them. You get a little cutscene of the Antoine trying to train them and them not listening, and then you get dressed up as a training target.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed.
You still do that in Arlathan.
Yeah, I don't like that they didn't actually make it interactable, because I wanted it to be like, run this obstacle course and don't get caught.
That would be funny.
But it was just, haha.
Yes.
That's the most Rook gets to like be involved themselves, is just go be a dummy.
Yeah, which is funny. But it's with the, if you do Arlathan, then it's Davrin's, like the old elven man who raised him, who is responsible for taking care of them. And so he is their sort of like dad. And I think I'm going to make the same decision that I did last time, now that I'm romancing Davrin, because I think it's very sweet that you get to go meet his basically adoptive dad and the griffins and hang out with them in the woods. I think it's nice for Davrin, because I also think one thing that's sad about Davrin dying in the final choice is that a big thing for him was that he expected to die. Like, he's lived most of his life expecting to die at any time, and he's sure he's gonna die when he kills the archdemon, and then he doesn't, and he has this whole little crisis about, but I should be dead now. I don't know what to do now that I'm alive and don't have like death on my immediate horizon. And he's responsible for the griffins. And so I feel like it's just really sad that he then dies so shortly after that. And I think that he would probably not mind if someone asked him beforehand, like, would you be willing to sacrifice yourself for this? He would absolutely do it.
But I think I like that. I think I like the tragedy of him just coming to terms with getting to live.
Yeah.
And then being struck down so suddenly.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it storytelling wise. I think it's tragic, but I like that.
Yeah. I thought it was sad with Harding living for, or like being sort of a representative of the Titans, and she was going to make people remember them and learn about the history, and then still dying like that. That also feels really sad.
It's such a missed opportunity. Give her stone armor and have Gillian be like,
exactly.
Titans. No.
I
will say I was fearing for Lacona's life.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Don't kill my boyfriend. No. I beg of you. Anyone but him or Emmerich.
I'm a little bit. I'm torn on whether I like that you can't save everyone, or if I wish there was some way to enable you to save everyone.
I think a good balance would have been if Harding has embraced the Titan. Because that's a very specific choice that you have to make, and then there's a very specific choice of who you send. If she's embraced the Titan and you send her, she lives. Yeah.
Or maybe if you encouraged Davrin to live for himself, he would survive somehow. And I don't know. It's just
I don't know how I would do the Valara thing, where it's like, did you? Which we're going to discuss. If you destroyed or kept the archive spirit, I destroyed that shit so fast.
Oh. I kept it.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I've been like, anytime we have kept an elven artifact of some sort, it always fucks up.
True.
Delete it.
That's interesting. Because in Mass Effect, I always do a destroy the collector base thing in Mass Effect 2, because there's a base with a lot of information, but a lot of people have died for that information, and it's like, it feels evil to even consider using it. And you can choose to destroy it, or to keep it for study, and then you can actually get some extra points in like war readiness rating thing in the third game. But I never keep it because it just feels evil, and I'm like, this knowledge isn't worth it. But I did feel conflicted afterwards, because I did want to bring some knowledge to the elves, because I feel like having like their ignorance, not purposeful, it's not their fault they're ignorant, but their ignorance has led to a lot of issues. So I was trying to sort of give them that knowledge back, but I am concerned about humans finding out. Doesn't seem to be that much of a concern in this game.
No.
But humans finding out, but then also, again, like something going wrong with it. And I kind of want the Dalish to let go of tradition
Yeah.
and to create their own new traditions and future.
That's the thing, right? Because now that you've seen what the gods actually were,
Yeah.
wouldn't it make sense to just...
So I think I'll be encouraging her to destroy it moving forward, actually.
Yeah, no, I had no hesitation. I said delete it because it's never worked out before. It was also made by Anaris, who then like killed your brother. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's corrupt from the start.
Probably. I will probably do that, but it also at the time it just felt like such a waste to get rid of all of that knowledge and information. After having played the rest of the game and talking to Balara about the decision, I'm like, maybe I should have just destroyed it.
They handled Anaris poorly as well.
Yes.
Like, he's literally a forgotten one, and it's supposed to be this whole thing, and he appears and disappears. His design was sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I enjoyed that, but the same way of like, there was no stakes in Balara's brother.
No.
She was kind of lukewarm to him being alive.
Yeah, I was surprised at that.
And then just leaving him again and be like,
it's weird.
Let me tell my coworker to kill their brother.
I do that at work all the time.
No, but I feel like that was it was a lot of the small things were handled too quickly and too like, you just got him back and now he's actually dead.
Yeah, honestly, the game could have been longer, I think.
Yeah,
could have been a little bit longer. Like, and you could have made some more things feel like extra, like, because it feels like you kind of have to do everything, right?
Yeah.
So you could have some extra stuff and make the game a little bit longer, but then just have that feel more voluntary, I think. But again, I understand that it's also about budget and resources and time and everything like that, but some things were underwhelming for sure. Hayden was saying before that he thought that it was impressive how we could just switch on and start talking, but I feel like that's our default mode.
That is our default. We're Geminis.
Like, yeah, we're Geminis and we love yapping. And I think that what's more difficult for us is to not.
We have so much footage
talk.
that I have to sit and like decide if we should keep or not because we speak too much.
We really
for too long. Lucanus, did you spare or kill Ilario?
I spared him.
Yeah, me too.
A big part of that was, as we talked about last time, having read the story in Tevinter Nights.
Yeah.
And I feel like I know that he in some way cares. And when it turns out that he didn't mean for Lucanus to get kidnapped and tortured and made into a demon, like, yes, he tried to kill him, but that's sort of par for the course with the crows. Yeah. And Lucanus even expected that, and he doesn't seem to care that much. And like, keep Ilario.
Yeah, I feel like the game is telling you that Lucanus wants to keep him alive.
Yeah. And
I also tried to like think of it from a crow standpoint. Yes, it's more in line with my character to go kill that person. Yes. But I am a Deriva. We are a lesser Talon. He is a Della Morte. If he wants to keep that cousin alive, I am just
whatever
yes,
you say, boss.
You got it.
Yep.
Up to even you. It could even be like Ilario is a Della Morte and I am just a Deriva. So maybe I don't feel like I have the authority at all to make a decision like that. And I just go,
And Katarina doesn't care.
No, Katarina seems to be like the one giving him.
Yeah.
Like, I think Lucanus says, like, Ilario probably wishes he was dead.
Exactly.
Like, what is your grandmother doing? I'm scared. Does she like me?
She's not a nice grandma. I mean, I like her and I respect her, but...
Yeah, but she does call Lucanus, like, my boy, my precious boy, or something like that. And I'm like, I feel like this is out of character.
It is a little bit, but also he is obviously the golden child.
Yeah. And I guess you get sentimental when you get old.
Yeah.
So...
And she didn't think he was dead, but she knew that he wasn't in a good place when he was in the ossuary. So I kind of get it, but it's just funny. Again, with the crows being made into like an organization full of like anti-heroes.
It's like it's based on mafia families.
Yeah.
And yet you nerfed it.
But I just miss Severin.
I do too.
I watched the scene where he tries to give you the earring.
Me too.
And he tries to convince you that it's not that sentimental, and you can be like, I will only take this if it's a sentimental, like if it's a token of your affection. And it's like, you're dumb, and you get minus
you don't want
points.
earring, you don't get earring.
It's so funny. And then there's a follow-up scene where he's like, actually, it is a token of my affection, and I really care about you. Will you take it? Thank you. And I think it's so sweet. I just miss him.
But I love the opposite mirroring with Severin and Alistair, where Alistair is straight out the gate, just like, you are a beautiful rose.
Yes.
I thought of this, and you are the most precious thing in such a world gone bad. And then fast forward, and it's like, I have to marry someone else, and you have to just fuck off.
Exactly.
So sorry. Well, Severin is like, it's not that serious. Yeah, I don't like you. It's like, you're hot.
Yeah.
And then it turns into like, actually, I love you, and if you perish, I will never take another lover again, because I will forever mourn you. And it's like,
something I would like us to talk about, not today, but in a future episode, is how like our favorite love interests from romance options from all of the games and how they would interact with each other.
Ooh,
I think that would be fun.
Nightmare blunt rotation.
Yeah,
absolutely, that would be fun.
Yeah, but no, I saved or let Ilario live rather. It would be interesting to see what happens if I just kill him. I feel like my current rook, as I said, she's a little bit harsher and more vengeful. I don't think she would let him.
What faction is she?
She is a Lord of Fortune.
Oh yeah. You said.
No, that's okay. And she's also a mage, but I made her use the Orban knife or the Orban dagger.
I'm using the Orban dagger, and I'm having a good time.
Right? Like once I figured out how it works, I'm having such a fun time with it.
Yeah.
And this time, I have figured out that to get the health bonuses from the statues of the elves, you have to actually also get rid of the little puzzle pieces. Last time, I activated them, and then I thought, this sound is kind of annoying after a while, and I didn't do anything, so I never got the health bonuses. And this time, I'm getting them, and wow, that makes a difference, huh?
Who knew?
This is why I play on easy mode. It's to offset my lack of common sense in games.
Puzzle? Blah. Blah. I pressed the button.
Yeah.
Why no help?
That's why when you were like, oh, but you get health from those, I was like, oh, I never realized because I didn't.
Yeah, that's all of the choices that I could think of.
Yeah, I think those are the main ones. Did we forget any? If so, we can bring them up in future episodes if you want to know.
Can I show you fast? Because I had, and again, I'm fine now. I'm disappointed and sad. I'm not this upset that I was when I wrote this, because I got...
Oh, you were mad.
I was fuming.
Yeah.
The secret ending. Everything here is about how mad I am about the secret ending. I will read you some highlights.
Please do.
From how mad I was.
Yes. I felt so bad because when she was texting me, when she just found out, I was so exhausted and tired that day. And I was like, I wish I could respond to this in like an engaged way.
That's okay.
But I can't right now.
That's okay.
I'm so sorry. I will engage with you later.
That's okay. I was engaging with myself.
She was.
Like, I'm so angry.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you don't know, the secret ending is basically showing how everything from the beginning at Origins was manipulated by a new shadow organization.
Yeah.
It's not new. I don't want anyone to go in the comments and say, they've been talking about the executor for blah, blah, blah. I know.
Yeah, still.
But you cannot look me in my two Androstian eyes and tell me that you think this was a good choice and that they built this up perfectly, because they left no breadcrumbs throughout the game for you to be able to puzzle this together.
Yeah.
It just it's thrown in there, just like they killed the entire south of Thedas in a codex entry that you can miss. It's a missive. It's not even a codex entry. It's a missive.
I know.
Just got it's all fucked. I'm sorry, what? Everything that I did that work for is fucked.
Yeah.
And didn't matter in the end at all, and has no effect on the northern Thedas? Are you shitting me?
Make her keep you by her word.
Jesus Christ.
May Andraste shield you from Lisa's
Oh,
rage.
I will find you.
The executors are about to be executed.
Oh yeah. Because I mentioned, like, I say it's an unforgivable sin. That's not the best part. Because I compare it to, like, there's no breadcrumbs. There are breadcrumbs about Solus because they mention him in the first game. They talk about Fenrirel from the get-go. That's fine. I don't feel like Solus was a big shock. It was a good revelation.
Yes. With the wolf statues everywhere as well.
Exactly.
That was good.
He was always there. But like, and I do say in my notes that I wouldn't be this mad if I didn't think that Veilguard had redeeming qualities and was an enjoyable game.
Yes.
Then I would just be mad from the start. But this is just, I want to enjoy this game so much.
I know.
And you just slap me in the face with this. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I think the most dramatic thing that I write in this is that you could put up a new monument in an old graveyard to honor the dead, but instead you've decimated a burial site to build a palace with empty halls.
That's so dramatic. I love it.
I was so mad.
I think the most dramatic thing you wrote to me was that this destroys all the Dragon Age games.
Oh yeah.
That was very funny.
I have strong emotions. I'm also very aware that I have strong emotions and that I'm like, I shouldn't talk about this right now, which is why it was very good that we didn't record a podcast.
Yeah, we were supposed to record that day, and then we decided to wait until today.
Yeah,
and I think that was probably a good move.
Was the best move because I would have,
because Lisa was just doing a really good impression of a rage demon, and I was so tired.
You were sloth.
I was sloth. Yeah, exactly.
No, but
we were being demons that day.
We were being demons that day. But yeah, I was mad, and I am still mad.
Yeah.
I'm not as upset anymore, but it does. I won't lie and say that it doesn't change the way that I play Veilguard, because I am so much less excited about it.
Yeah.
And I find like I don't enjoy it as much after I've seen that revelation, because I also feel like they did it in such a cowardly way.
I know. Partly
with all of the south of Thedas is fucked.
Yeah.
Like that, not only are you like saying that everything that we did in the previous games didn't matter in the end, but you're also saying it in a way as if it didn't matter at all. There is no like Inquisitor breaking down. There's nothing.
I know.
Nothing. It's just in a letter. And then at the end, if some people did these puzzles, and I tried to, like, without knowing what it was, the whole like water puzzle thing in the other thing, I was like, that looks sick.
Yes.
Can't find the last thing, so I'm not going to do it. But for the people who did that, and then you get the ending of, it was us all along.
But you know what? Your anger is righteous. It is justified, and I think you should embrace it. Live with it.
I'm gonna go get impaled now.
Please don't. But yeah, let's take a page from the Scout Harding playbook. I think that makes sense. Yeah. But I really understand. I get you. So I feel like Lisa is absorbing all of my anger, and I just find everything funny now because I'm like, she's being angry enough for both of us. I don't need to be.
True.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. But it's also good because if you were as angry, I would just be apathetic. Like you being excited and happy and having a good time is helping me be excited and have a good time. So I'm just very careful to not take that from you because that would be pointless.
Yeah, and you're not doing that.
Okay, good.
Yes.
That's the main point.
Absolutely.
But I think that's where we can wrap this episode up.
I think
so too. Very dramatic manner.
So do you want to do this thing
people
with
find us?
People can find my TikTok here and your TikTok there, and our podcast TikTok is here. And we also have, our podcast TikTok is called Sit in Judgment. We also have YouTube, Sit in Judgment. We have Spotify, Sit in Judgment, and Instagram, Sit in Judgment.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Leave a comment because I love reading them. Like, if you
so
have
fun.
left a comment on our Sit in Judgment TikTok, I love you.
Yes.
And I love talking to people.
Yes.
This is my special interest. I can talk about it for days.
As you can
Obviously.
tell.
Please, like, if you want to hear our opinion on something, if you want to share your opinion and educate us or give me a new perspective that would help me enjoy things more, then I would love that too.
Yes. No, the comments we have been really appreciating. It's so fun to hear from you guys.
I would do the didn't see thing, but I can't do it.
This hard?
Yeah, I can't do it.
easy.
I'm feeling very judged.